He's not the only billionaire genius playboy philanthropist, but let's just say he might have superior leadership skills. Marvel and DC have been at odds for decades, and their heroes are endlessly compared. Now, with the Snyder Cut on the horizon, we have another conflict to settle between the two franchises. Which team deals with their mad god equivalent the best? It's not cut and dry, as the weaknesses and goals of the different interstellar warlords differ. But the whole act of assembling the super team and mobilizing the forces to take on the threats to the universe? Yeah, we can line that up pretty well. We've got a good amount of ground to cover, so let's get started. Here's why Iron Man would take down Darkseid in half the runtime. So, what gives? Why do we think Tony Stark would do so much better? Well, in his time as an Avenger, he's picked up a few skills and learned a few hard lessons that would fill in some gaps that the Justice League has in their ranks. Starting off with some basics, we have the more physical reasons. Mr. Stark is a genius with tech equipment and has a know-how that can reverse engineer and develop a wide array of weapons or power sources. Though this has run him into trouble a few times, for example Ultron, at this point he's got it figured out. More or less. Plus, he's got backup like the Iron Legion and Friday. His suits have diverse capabilities and answers for most situations, plus their ability to operate without a direct user in sight is pretty handy in a pinch. He's also actually been to space. When fighting intergalactic beings, some knowledge of space is a decent asset. Okay, but I know what you're thinking. Everything so far you could reasonably say that Bruce Wayne has a good answer to. Well, yes and no. Batman is the de facto leader of the Justice League in the cinematic universe, forming the group whilst Superman is 6 feet under. Since Batman is running the show, his weaknesses and judgment calls are really going to affect the team in a huge way. And the Bat has a lot of baggage to pack around. And he doesn't delegate at all. Both super billionaires are in a leadership position with their respective teams, so they may be the biggest liability in the team's function. Tony may have a surprisingly strong upper hand here, since his team-running abilities seem to outclass Bruce's tenfold. So what does Stark have that Wayne is distinctly lacking? One of the things we know most about the Dark Knight is his penchant for working alone. Even though he's the one putting the team together, in many ways, he's still working alone. Batman is notorious for being distrustful of nearly everyone, including his allies. He does seem to have a strong bias against superpowered beings, always having a contingency plan to take them down if they ever decided to go rogue. And that's not a great dynamic to have between a team, especially when the hostility is from your current leadership figure. Big yikes. Stark does have one big contingency, but that's for the Hulk. Something that Banner is likely in full support of, knowing how dangerous and unpredictable the Hulk can be. Tony's great fear is the unknown, what could come from beyond, so he's always wanting to prepare for when that arrives. He knows that's not something he could face alone and wants to try and ensure protection from it. He cares, and he knows that there are things that he cannot do. Batman is the world's greatest detective. He knows when he's outmatched, but his pride will stop him from doing what he should. The code that he's created is also a big limiter. Though the no guns rule is a bit more dubious in the DC movieverse, he still has the no killing rule in place. The moral bars that are both bizarrely flexible and rigid, since killing people and leaving them to their death are two very different things. Tony still has his demons, but at least he tries to improve a bit by the end, becoming a better figure for many people who look up to him. He isn't perfect, and he would never claim to be. Now, would Tony at any point in his journey as Iron Man be a capable candidate against threats such as Darkseid? No, definitely no. No way in all of the 9 realms. Tony, after his many years as the one and only Iron Man, is a contender to save the world. So, is it unfair to compare Bruce to him? Not in the slightest! The Batman we're dealing with in the Justice League is no spring chicken, or spring bat, I guess. He's been doing this for a while. And through his many triumphs and tragedies, you'd think that he would have figured out that paranoia and lone wolf attitudes may not be the best solution. Apparently not. A superhero team is not too unlike a relationship in that way. They require good communication. Yet another thing Tony has over Master Bruce. Bad interpersonal skills don't seem like the biggest hurdle at first glance, but it could be a big speed bump in the race to defeat Darkseid. When a godly being threatens your planet, it seems like Tony Stark should be the first person you call. Too bad he's out of commission now. Hopefully, the new batch of heroes have learned from his mistakes. Well, till next time, keep fighting for truth, justice, in some kind of way.